Dimy, do you want to go ahead and get started? Do you want us to get started?
Yeah, I think
All right.
it's 8:33, so we can yeah. So
All right. Perfect. So, good morning, afternoon, and evening to some of you. But thank you all for joining us for another Investing In series. My name is Helen Pisaya, and I'm the CEO, Managing Director of F3 Global Advisory Group. So this series is actually a monthly discussion that we host to introduce, connect, and facilitate business transactions between individuals, businesses, and markets. We're actually on our third installment today with a focus on Senegal, which also kicks off our Africa and Middle East series. So stay tuned for that. So some of the other markets you'll see coming up will be Israel, Oman, Ghana, Gambia, and a few others. In our first two installments, we actually focused on two unique markets in Central and Eastern Europe, showcasing both Romania and Bulgaria. We were joined by presidents of universities, members of EU Parliament, heads of healthcare clusters, and large IT firms like UiPath and many more. You can find the recordings actually on YouTube or simply email me and I'm happy to share them with you. As a firm, we focus on capacity building, strategic planning, and especially market entry. And we find that hosting this series, especially in a time like today when we're all restricted to our homes and our countries and our communities, is actually a large supporter in continuing trade and business development across markets. As a result of the first two sessions that we hosted, we've been able to support businesses identify and connect to those two markets and identify new partners, conduct local due diligence, and create collaborations in markets, especially in a time that people could probably not venture into. Our hope is that the same happens today on this call, and especially with our members that are here present from Senegal. We would have started, so I think typically people think like, why didn't you start with some of the Anglophone countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, or South Africa, but our commitment is actually to introducing markets that are ripe with business opportunities and typically not fully engaged by American businesses, which is why we started off by introducing Senegal, which is actually a really great market entry hub into the rest of Africa. American businesses typically engage with, like I said, Anglophone country nation, Anglophone African nations, but there's actually a missed opportunity when we're not exploring markets that are in the Francophone group. Today, we'll actually hear from our virtual roundtable of experts about what and why Senegal is the place to be, and start if you've actually never engaged into the African markets. As of recent, the nation has discovered oil, which opens it up to new opportunities, and you'll hear that from Boubacar, who's on the call from the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy. For us, we know that Senegal offers actually stable political environments. It's geographically positioned along the coast, which offers it access and ports to neighboring nations, and it's actually a well-structured infrastructure. On top of all of that, it has a practice of common languages such as English, Spanish, Arabic, and Italian, as well as its native tongues and official French language, which is a great place for international business exchange. So to help you learn more and get deeper, we've invited those who are actually leading the nation across industries and across investments. First, I want to thank Ahmed Diallo, who is our partner in doing this today. He is the CEO of Youth Empowerment School, and he's also the administrative manager of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, as well as a 2016 Mandela Washington Fellow, which is actually where I initially met him. On top of that, we have Abdul Aziz Sin, who's the deputy CEO of SEDEPCO, Global Business School Group, and he's also the vice president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Senegal. We have our lovely Awa Tiam, who's also a Mandela Washington Fellow from 2018. She is also the founder of Lepanto SAS and a product owner at Orange Sonatel, which is an IT company out in Senegal as well as around the world. You'll hear from Mustafa Diop, the head of marketing department at Apex, the promotion of investments and major works in Senegal, as well as I mentioned, Boubacar Menge, who's a project monitoring officer and director of petroleum at the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. Today's panel discussion is actually moderated by Professor Dimy Doresca from the University of Iowa. I could actually read you his long bio, but I prefer he share more about himself. But what I would like to say about Dimy is that he has a strong passion for Africa in his future. Not only does he have all the credentials as an educator and facilitator to carry out these conversations, but he also has a business experience and acumen to support us in making transactions happen. Today, he's the director of the Institute for International Business and a lecturer in international business and entrepreneurship at the University of Iowa. He also serves as the academic director of the Mandela Washington Fellow Program. And so, Dimy, I'll let you take it over from here. And thank you all for joining us. And hopefully, you get a lot from this conversation.
Thank you very much, Helen, for this lovely introduction and for setting the stage for us these discussions that we are going to have regarding Senegal. And I couldn't agree more. When you mentioned that Senegal is an overlooked market, it is indeed. And I've been involved in Senegal since 2014 when I took my first trip there. And in fact, that's when I met Abdulaziz at Subdeco. And I said, wow, why in the United States, when we hear about Africa, we never really hear about Senegal? And it is really that jewel located in Western Africa, really a short flight away from New York. You know, I mean, it takes you the same amount of time from New York to London than from New York to Senegal, if it's not less. So it's what right across the Atlantic Oceans, and it's really the hub of of many francophone African countries. Not only Senegal is surrounded by countries like the Gambia, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Mauritania, but it also helps serve the other markets like Cote d'Ivoire and Benin, which are kind of like other francophone countries. And if you really want to do business in Africa, you really need to think about Senegal. And I can tell you right now, the language is not a barrier anymore, because a lot of Senegalese that I meet that want to do business, that want to collaborate with the Western world, they are very proficient in English. So I don't think the language is a barrier anymore. And Senegal is a prominent member of ECOWAS, which is the economic community of West African states. And ECOWAS is very powerful in West Africa and is really looking for getting new markets for its member states. And Senegal is playing an important role in there. So I could say a lot more about Senegal, but I want the panelists to really elaborate about the country and why they believe that Senegal is open for business and Senegal is ready to welcome companies throughout the world, specifically American companies, to come and invest and take advantage of all the opportunities that exist in the country. As Helen said, I am Dimy Doresca. I am currently based in Iowa. I am the director of the Institute for International Business at the University of Iowa. And I am a passionate of Africa because we've been hosting the Mandela Washington Fellowship programs at the University of Iowa for the past 5 years. We currently have 100 fellow alums in 34 countries in Africa, and several of them based in Senegal. And I'm very proud to have two of my alums right on the panel, and Awatiam and Ahmed Diallo. So without any further ado, I would like to start questioning the panels because this is their time to talk. And what I'd like to do during these first rounds of questions is to give each of the panel members about 5 minutes to say a little bit about themselves and about their companies and what their company is doing to create kind of like an investment-friendly climate in Senegal. So I would like to start with Mustafa and Mustafa Job. I know you are at Apex, and I did some research, and I see that you are kind of like the investment promotion vehicle in Senegal. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organizations and what your organization is doing to create an investment-friendly climate in Senegal?
Okay, thank you, Dimy. Hello, guys. Hi, everyone. I hope my connection is stable. If you don't hear me properly, I can try and switch the area where I'm at in the house.
But you're doing good. We can hear you fine.
Okay, all right then. Okay, fine. Okay. Basically, well, I'll start by giving you a little introduction about myself. I'm a marketing specialist, if I can say so, not an expert, to be just humble and modest. I am the head of marketing for APIX, which is the investment board. And just to give you a glimpse about my background, I had the opportunity to do most of my higher education in London. That was a while ago, undergraduate and graduate studies. And then I had the opportunity to work for a while for HSBC Group and Lloyd's TSB Bank. HSBC, that was in Dublin, Ireland, for about a couple of years between 2002 and 2003, before I came back home in Senegal in 2004. My professional background, to say the least, I had the opportunity to work for the National Telecommunication Company, which is Sonatel, but just for a year or so, a year and a half. And since then, I've been working for APIX, different levels of, different positions of responsibility. First, as an investment promotion officer, kind of like to guide and assist any investors, namely mostly back then it was mostly the domestic, the national private investors, in terms of putting them in the right state of mind, having them being properly assisted to implement the projects that they had. And afterwards, I moved up the ladder, to say the least, to be the business unit manager in charge of agribusiness and IT-enabled services, digital economy. And back then, I had also a much bigger portfolio. A couple of years later, say around 2012, 2011, energy was starting to be a very buoyant sector. And I had the opportunity to be the head of everything to deal with investments into energy, IT-enabled services and agriculture. Before I was, I had the position of everything to deal with domestic investments globally throughout the whole of Senegal. I had a team of say 3 or 4 business line managers under me. And since 2015, I'm the head of marketing for APIX, which is a much bigger picture with, say the whole lot, like a team of 7 or 8 people in terms of canvassing, attracting, and consolidating every investments into the country, be it domestic investors or foreign investors. So there you have it. That's kind of my background in terms of education in London and professional background in Senegal and in Dublin for HSBC, the bank, and Lloyd's TSB as an asset manager. Dimy, I hope I have been...
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you, Mustafa. I'll come back to you on the question. But Abdulaziz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Subdeco, and what role Subdeco play in the educational sphere, and also the American Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, thank you, Dimy, for giving me the floor. I would like to say hello to everyone, really to say how happy I am to be part of this panel, and obviously would like to thank Helen for giving me as well this opportunity to speak about my country, which I love very, very much, obviously. And yes, what I would say is, obviously, I am the deputy CEO of Subdeco Business School, which is one of the top business school in Africa. We are ranked among the best, here in sub-Saharan Africa. And our core activities, obviously, it's as a business school, is to train students in all the area of management. But along the way, since we were created in 1993, we developed as well other capabilities in IT management as well. So whereas we developed an engineering school, we developed as well a public management institute, and also obviously an executive department. So we cover all the area of management and IT as well. So for my other for the other aspect, I am also the VP of the AmCham, American Chamber of Commerce in Senegal, which is an association that regroups US companies and Senegalese companies being involved, obviously, in Senegal. And obviously, I will talk more about it later. So as an introduction, I just wanted to.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Abdulaziz. Let's go to Awa Tiam. So Awa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and as an entrepreneur, a women entrepreneur, by the way, we need to mention that in Senegal, how are things for you?
Hi, Dimy. Thank you for the invitation first. I'm really glad to be part of this exchange. So I'm a telecommunication engineer, general engineer in telecommunication. I'm specialized in marketing and strategy for international transactions. And currently, I'm working at Orange Sonatel as a product owner for agile web development. And I also created a startup named Lifantu 3 years ago, where the idea is to link farmers and schools. Then we open it. So now we are linking farmers and restaurants, retailers, and also people that want to export food production from Dakar. So it's quite a great journey, and I think that we'll have time to talk about it more during this interview.
Thank you very much, Awa, and that's great. And let's go to Mr. Bubakar. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, your background, please?
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I have to thank everyone for this invitation to give me the opportunity to tell a bit about Senegal legal framework and all aspect government and decision government take in oil and gas sector in order to help all investors to give more attractivity to Senegal. For me, I graduate in Dakar University from geology department. I'm a geologist, and then since 2011, I was working in private sector in mining exploration, mining exploitation, in gold field, and then in phosphate field. And since 2017, I was in the direction of petroleum, and then in this direction I'm in charge for following all the projects like Sangomar in oil production in Senegal, and also gas production from GTA is one of the huge gas field discovery since for last years. And then it's direction of petroleum is also in charge for all legal aspect and contractual aspect for this contract is a part of in the government side for follow all contractual aspect, all of them, if it's financial one, technical one, and then this is just a short presentation of myself, and then I can elaborate more in next time. I think it's fine for me.
Thank you, Bubakar. Thank you. And Ahmed Jallo, a little bit about yourself, please.
Thank you, Jimmy. First of all, allow me to thank Ellen for this opportunity. We have been working for quite a long time now, and I think this webinar is one of the first ideas that we could implement together. And looking forward to future opportunities. I want also to thank my three elder brothers here, starting with Aziz. I met him through Dimy, and since then we have been keeping the contact. And Mustafa also, I just met him virtually, but my friend Sheikh Job in London, at the embassy in London, has been talking very good things about you. We were discussing last night, and I'm happy, really happy to know this about you. And Bubakar, who is a colleague of my elder brother Usman at the Ministry of Energy. So since the day I talked about the idea, he has been here supporting and willing to participate. And last, Hawa, who is a fellow sister. So hi to everyone, and as probably you have heard from Ellen, so my name is Ahmed Jallo, and right now I'm working for JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, in a project based in St. Louis, which is in the northern part of Senegal. So the project is focused on rice productivity, how to increase rice productivity in Senegal. And at the same time, as you know, I graduated from Gaston Berger University. I have kept my teaching position there. And last September, we created the Youth Empowerment School, so which is a training institution really designed for the youth in Senegal, but which is aiming to match the gap between what we usually have in Dakar and what we have in St. Louis. Because Dakar is a, very gleaming, booming city where we have all the support that young people need. But in St. Louis or in other regions, it's still marginalized parts that needs to be helped, that needs to be sustained. So that's why we created the school, mainly to train the youth in entrepreneurship, in leadership, and how to create and innovate ideas, just to help them position themselves to local and global opportunities. So we do this through the training and then also through the networking, and then the motivation that we are giving these youth into competition and linking them with other people that might be interested in what they are doing. So just in a nutshell, that's what we are doing with the Youth Empowerment School.
Okay, Ahmed, thank you so much. And we're gonna dive deeper into this later. I want to come back to Mustafa and with a question regarding APIC's or APIC's overall mission. So what is the raison d'etre of APIC's in the economic life of the country, Mustafa?
Thanks, Dimy. Actually, I like the Frencism raison d'etre. Basically, I was about to elaborate when I was introducing myself earlier about APICS, which is just acts as in an investment board, just like in any other country. APICS is kind of like the investment authority reporting directly to the office of the president, the cabinet. His chief of staff is our direct authority, even though APICS on the paper is a PLC, public limited company, because we have a board with a chairman and whose authority acts the managing director. But we are all from private background, as I explained earlier. I worked for Sonatel, but that was like more than 15 years ago when I came back home. And previously in Dublin, Ireland, as an asset manager for HSBC, Lloyds TSB. So we are not typically civil servants, even though APICS is kind of like a middleman between the administration, the central administration, the line ministry, and the investors to facilitate and handle everything to deal with the ease of doing business into this country. So in this regard, our core missions are basically, for starters, improvement of the business environment in Senegal, the business climate, just in relation with the central administration, line ministries, the Ministry of Justice, of Trade, etc. As I'll explain probably later on, we have a one-stop shop type of service where you have, it used to take like 2 months just to register, incorporate a company in Senegal back in like 2006. And we had that law in late 2005, where under the authority of the Prime Minister, well, back then we had a Prime Minister, not anymore, but the law is still being enacted. We can act as the interface, to say the least, between any investor and line ministries to help them out, even though it's not the prerogatives, probably. Sometimes it's the mining code or the oil code, but we can help out and facilitate the ease of doing business for investors instead of them having to go left and right and knocking on every door on the ministries. It can take like 2 or 3 months with everything to deal with their investments. They can come directly to APIX, and we have several facilitation services. Besides the improvement of the business climate, we also act as a contracting authority for the state on specific key major projects like the express train to commute from Dakar, the central Dakar to, I mean, downtown Dakar, the central train station to an area called Jamñajo, suburban area we are developing with other institutions. And maybe in the near horizon, it will go as far as the airport of Dakar. So we act as contracting authority to do all the procurement, all the tendering and everything. I have a lot of colleagues which are urban planners and geologists, etc., that run that kind of promotional arm, because it goes hand in hand. I'm from a marketing background, so my job and others is improvement of the business climate and facilitating investments, tax exemptions, facilitate any custom duties, exonerations of taxes, etc. But on the other hand, I have colleagues that are urban planners and geologists, etc., that handle the major projects part of it. Even though we have a Ministry of Infrastructure, a ministry in charge of railway, transport, etc., but to go faster and to fast track some key major projects, it's assigned to APIX as a contracting authority. So we implement those key major projects initiated by the government as a contracting authority as well. But the core business is to promote Senegal as an investment destination to the attention of domestic national investors and foreign investors. So we are probably as a organization in charge of really at the forefront of all priority sectors across several priority sectors, which are in that large program that we have called Plan Senegal Emergent, the Emerging Senegal Plan from 2014 to 2035. So it's a very large horizon with intermediate objectives that we have set. So just to be comprehensive, APIX is the investment authority, which provides a lot of customized services in terms of advice, notably on the, say, the legal and the tax frameworks in Senegal. And we also act as the, say, the permanent secretary. As I talked about the business climate improvement. So what we have, I think my colleague Lamine, which is the director of the business environment, which is in charge of reforms that we implemented throughout the years to cut down any red tape, all the barriers, bureaucracy in terms of registering your company within 1 working day. It used to take like, say, 40 working days to just register your company in Senegal. And the facilitation of property rights, ownership, if you want to buy land, etc. It used to take like 6 months. So we cut down all those barriers. So that's basically what APIX does on behalf of the state. In
so
charge
now,
of also,
Mustafa, I'm looking at the World Bank doing business said about 2 days. Say
yeah.
it takes 2 days to register a company in Senegal. So now you're saying it's 1 day, within 1
1
day
day for sole ownership. Like for
sole
example,
ownership. Okay.
sole ownership. But for PLCs and LLCs is much more complicated.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any lawyers and or solicitors within us, but you have to go to the what we call, in French, le notaire, the solicitor,
The notary, the public notary.
the notary, yeah,
Yeah.
because he's by law entitled to do the process, but all the processes are done within Apex.
Okay. Well,
Okay, he just
that's
registers,
great.
he does the statutes of the company, but the whole lot is done at Apex because we have a clerk of the court, a labor controller, a fiscal controller, and everything is within Apex. You don't need to go to all those ministries. It's quite
Perfect.
complex when it's a PLC or an LLC because you have to go through the notaries. That's why it takes 2 working days. But for
Okay.
sole ownership, you can come in the morning before 11 a.m. and by 4 p.m. in the afternoon, you are good to go.
Well, even the 2 days, it's still great, and I would say because that's it's about the same in a lot of developed countries. So I think that's great. But I'll come back to you, Mustafa, because I have some additional questions on business promotion and attractions. I'll come back to you later. But I want to go to Mr. Abdulaziz on the economic and business environment in Senegal prior to the pandemic. Can you kind of like Mr. Abdulaziz give us a rundown of how business environment was like in Senegal prior to the pandemic?
Yes, I mean, prior to the pandemic, we were doing quite well because we were having a GDP growth of around 5.3% last year in 2019. But overall, if you look at the last 5 years, our GDP growth was around 6%, 6.5%. So the economy was really doing quite well. I think Mustafa just spoke about the plan, the Senegal, the emerging Senegal plan, which is a plan that brings a lot of investment, especially in infrastructure, because our president was really looking into getting into the emerging status in 2035. So this plan was relying on 2 phases. One phase was between 2013 and 2018, which was basically where investing heavily on infrastructure in transports, infrastructure in logistics, because we have a port of Dakar, and a large coast, just facing the Caribbean and the US. So we are really a port of entrance of Africa for the interland countries. So all these advantages that nature gave us, what we were really lacking is investment in infrastructure. So that's the first phase, really was giving us the possibility to have a lot of roads to facilitate transportation, railroad as well, because we investing in a train network, so which is named the TER. So all this investment in infrastructure, in energy as well, because that was also one of our problems the year before, 2013. And the first phase was really about those type of investment in human capital as well, and in good governance. So the second phase is between 2019 to 2025. Basically, the private sector will then be, the government will then focus pretty much on the private sector. So on public partnership, private, PPP, and other type of partnership. So up to this crisis of the COVID, we were on schedule on the plan the government were doing, with really good figures as well in other economic aggregates. The income per capita was going up, the poverty going down, the poverty rate was really going down, and we were getting more people graduated with the baccalaureate degree. the degree. And so, we were on the right track. And obviously, the COVID will make a little bit step back for us. But even this year, we will get a growth of 1.1%. And hopefully things will get back to normal next year. And then we will get back into the right direction. What I will say, there have been the discovery of oil and gas, and I'm speaking under the supervision of Mr. Meng. We were supposed to exploit the oil and gas income, in 2022. So I think maybe there will be a delay of 1 year or a couple of years, but this discovery was really major because it gives us a place, a seat into the oil producing countries in Africa and even around the world. So that was supposed to give us, if I look at the figures, around 2023, we were supposed to have around 9% of GDP growth, around 9 and 10% GDP growth, thanks to this oil and gas discovery. So we are really optimistic about the future despite this crisis. And what really gives us a good an optimism is as well the dynamism of the youngsters. So between 60% of our population is between 15 and 30 years old. So we are a very energetic country. So what we need now is more investment in education, just to make sure that most of the people get to the right standards, because our illiteracy rate is still low, because we only 56% of the population are literate. So it's a problem, and we are, I think, addressing that with the obligation to be at school for the young people up to 12 years old. I think that would be a major change if we manage to vote that law at the embassy, at the assembly. And obviously there's still a little challenges we need to raise up, but with APICS and all those future income coming, we can only be optimistic about the future.
Oh, this is, I like that. And hearing, despite the pandemic, you still think there'll be 1% growth. That's just great. And this is good to hear. I mean, from 2015, 2019, the GDP growth in Senegal has been in the upper 5%. And in 2018, it was almost 7%. So, and as you said, 2019 was more than 7.5%. That's just great. And when we looked at the GDP composition in Senegal, we see the different sectors like agriculture, which is about almost 17%, and the service sector, 50.37%, industry, 25%, and then manufacturing, 18%. But I want to focus now on the service sector. And I know one of the important component of the service sector is the IT. Okay, and I want to ask Awatiam the first question on based on her experience, if she can summarize for us the situation of IT services in Senegal.
Thank you, Dimy, for the question. IT services in Senegal, I think that's IT services are pretty well developed. Senegal has one of the lowest costs in Africa for internet access, and telecommunication companies are continuously investing on how they can improve the IT infrastructures around the country, and also how they can improve the quality of the service. So almost everyone is connected. People are creating real businesses on social media. Mobile money services are becoming more and more accessible. And I'm also humbled to think that there are amazing technical competencies in Senegal. As an example, I'm currently working with a team of web developer, and some of them are barely 21, and they are very, very talented. They think every time about how they can use their technical competencies to create social impact and sustainable businesses. And I'm also working with some other people that are more experimented, and honestly, I think that it's very comforting and challenging to evolve in such an environment where you can always find IT experts to work with and to learn from them continuously. So I would say that, yeah, we have the technical resources we need, and we also have the human resources, and people are really aware of the needs of great IT services in the country.
Thank you, Awa. And I like you bring the fact that you brought the social impact aspect to it. And I know that you are heavily involved in social impact project, and I will get back to that. And so you can talk more about your initiative, Lifan 2, which is a social impact initiative. So, but the IT sector, as you mentioned, is growing by leaps and bounds in Senegal, and there is a lot that we'll need to talk about on that sector. But I wanna also come back to that new sector Abdulaziz mentioned, which is the energy, the oil and gas sector in Senegal. And Abdulaziz mentioned something that I've never heard before. Did you? I think he said by 2022, the revenue from the GDP growth will be upper 9%, and most of that will be due to the revenue brought by the oil and gas sector. And I want to ask Mr. Mbeng, Abubakar Mbeng, to tell us, we know that Senegal has recently hit the headlines due to the huge oil and gas reservoirs discovered along its coast. And if you can tell us the importance of these discoveries for Senegal and how that are being affecting the economy and its business environment. And I know that, as Abdulaziz mentioned, the 9% GDP growth. Well, how else? How do you see the discovery of oil and gas is going to affect how the economy will be shaped in the next 30 some years in the country? Mr. Mbeng.
Thank you. As Mr. C says, oil in Senegal got very huge discoveries, and then before COVID-19 impact, there was all project was on track, and then let me just elaborate a bit more for big discovery we made, we got in Senegal, and just we have since exploration production in Senegal began until from 16th, and then since then we have some heavy oil discovery from south parts of Senegal, Casamance, and then since 2014 we have big discovery in oil and gas. The biggest one is GTA project, Grand Tortue Ahmeyim project, is a cross-border discovery sharing between Senegal and Mauritania. And then this discovery is allow us to have a production of around 20 TCF of gas. It's equivalent of 40 million of
40 billion.
Gas. Yeah, 40
billion cubic meters. Yeah.
Cubic meters of gas we are sharing between Senegal and Mauritania. And then we have two discovery in Senegal. Teranga, we have 140 billion of cubic gas, 5 TCF, and Yakar 5 TCF also. We have in Sangomar 2.4 TCF of gas, which is destinated to domestic consumption. And then we got 600 million of barrel of petrol in Sangomar. Just to give you a quick description of discovery we got in Senegal since 2040. And then since 2040, government make a new law and legal framework, which is governing oil and gas sector. I can tell you about a local content law, which is a local content in oil and gas sector, and then a new petroleum code since 2019. We got a new gas code, and just to help investors to give them all attractive aspects in all value chain from the oil and gas sector. And at last we have a gas to power strategy. Senegal is key, which is ongoing. We try to make a national value chain in gas sector, which we will utilize Yaka Teranga discovery and also Sangomar discovery to build a big gas domestic demand in Senegal. Yes, it's just a quick description of oil and gas discovery we have in Senegal since 2014.
That's just great, and I'm very pleased to hear all of this, and it looks like despite the setback that we are going to have with the pandemic, things are supposed to go really well for Senegal, and a lot of that money will be used for infrastructure investment. But there's one thing also. Well, thank you. We'll come back to you, Mr. Beng, on additional questions we have on the oil and gas sector. But something that Mr. Abdulaziz C mentioned in his talk, the 60% of the Senegalese population is between the age of 15 to 25. That's just a lot, 60%. And Mr. Ahmed Jallo really want to capture that. He noticed there is a huge opportunity to empower that youth. And he's using a tool which is very important to do that, which is entrepreneurship. So, Mr. Jallo, with the gleaming economic prospects in Senegal, what has been the attitude of the youth?
Thank you again, Jimmy. I think that the attitude of the youth in Senegal before and now is totally different. So in the past, as you know, the mindset of our communities in Africa, so entrepreneurship was still something to be discovered. Only those brave people, you know, used to venture and found out if there is anything to win. But now with the trend all across the continent, if you look at the English-speaking countries like South Africa, like Nigeria, like Ghana, like Rwanda, and see what is going there. So you can just grasp also the spirit, the enthusiasm, and the dynamism that we have here in Senegal. So the youth no longer relies in the effort carried out by the government, although these efforts are important because at the end of the day, they are the guidance and that framework that will guide us. But traditionally, the way we used to look at things has changed. So now we rely on ourselves. We try to create things for ourselves. We try to employ ourselves, and we try, to ease the burden of the government about employment by creating wealth, by innovating, by implementing ideas. So that's really what we want to do. Someone like me or like and we have hundreds, thousands of young Senegalese who now are operating, venturing, trying to see where really they can push, trying to explore new possibilities. Those possibilities that have been hinted by Aziz, by Mustafa, and also by Boubacar. So we are trying to see what we can grab, and to be able to grab these opportunities, we have to train ourselves, but we need also to be, supported by a conducive environment. So that's really the spirit that we have right now in Senegal, a young generation ready to explore, ready to seek collaboration, partnership, and ready really to work for the country and for the continent.
Annette, it's very important what you are doing, because the companies that are on this webinar today, they want to make sure that there are organizations like yours that are preparing the young and dynamic populations so they are ready to tackle the challenge of this day and age, the challenges. And I think when the companies hear that, they know they can keep the peace of mind. When they come to Senegal, they'll find a well-prepared youth, and with organizations like yours, with Subdeco, and and all other youth organizations in the country that are making sure that the youth is ready to tackle the challenges of our time. And companies that are on this webinar, I think this make them really I think this makes them really, really, really ready. So I think after this first round, I'd like to start taking questions from the audience. And I think Helen is telling me there are 7 questions from the audience. The question and answer box. Let's see, Helen. I'm okay. There we go. There we go.
There you go.
I see it. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yes. Okay. So the banking sector in Senegal is not good at all because of the high interest rates they offer. This is not good for the private sector. Maybe that's a question Mustafa can address. Mustafa, what are your views of the banking sector in Senegal?
Okay, actually, as a customer as well, it's not far from the truth. Just I'd like to mitigate that, the government, probably the state, doesn't want to interfere. Well, the state, it's a saying, the central bank of Western African countries, which sets the rules and regulations. Just as in any other country, there are several kind of tariffs that they apply to commercial banks for them to be sustainable, and also to propose and provide services to end users, clients just like us. He's very, it's right to a certain extent, because I experienced it myself, just as any other Senegalese national or throughout neighboring countries. I don't know how it fares in Mali or in Ivory Coast, etc. I go there from time to time, but I never went as far as opening a bank account, etc. Depending on who you're talking to, I know that they are very keen to invest or give long-term loans to property developers or corporations that are in high yield, say, sectors. Whereas where the client or the customer cannot come back with the loan, the capital in terms of equity, they can seize whatever property they have. So to that extent, I know that the government took the lead in the Presidential Investment Council in terms of reducing all those administrative barriers, all those constraints and bottlenecks in terms of refinancing the economy. Where the problem lies is that the government doesn't want to go as far as giving setting the rules and regulations. Even they cannot doing anyway. So those major corporations are owned by Societe Generale, which is French. The BNP Paribas is owned. So the major decision makers are out there in Paris or throughout the world. So it's quite difficult for a developed country to impose their rules and regulations. It's more up to the central bank to try and see ways and tools to have the say most customers. I think my connection is kind of
No, no,
unstable.
you okay?
I
You
don't
okay? We
know.
can hear you.
Okay, it's okay. All right. I
Yeah,
see on the grid that it's unstable.
that's
So
okay.
I don't have a proper answer for him because I'm really not from. We are trying to address those issues in the business climate issues. I know that a lot of bottleneck and constraint have been, I mean, removed, but it's still yet a very critical question that we have to address in the near future. I don't have a proper answer to be comprehensive with him. It's somewhere up to the central bank and in relation with all the 7 or 8 countries that are sharing the French CFA to have much more interference, to be precise, with how the commercial banks are treating the end users.
That's I mean I couldn't agree more because it's a major issue in a lot of the countries in Africa, and a lot of the countries what they are doing, they are creating a strong entrepreneurship ecosystem which includes investors, it includes angel investors, and includes competitions and this type of things that entrepreneurs can raise capital instead of going through the bank, because the bank is really looking for much more matured companies to invest in. So that's what I would say. Helen, did you say you would like to answer this question live, or is that I'm seeing a message saying Ellen will.
No, you just answered it live.
Okay, that's good. Okay, now there are other questions on energy sector, but I want to come back to them because I want to give Mustafa sometimes to talk about uh, what recommendations that APIX would give to potential investors and business people interested in working in Senegal or interested in investing in Senegal. Mustafa, are you with us? Did we
All
lose?
right,
Okay, good.
good now.
Go
Okay,
ahead. Yes.
it's kind of a tricky question because we are just speaking from experience and how we basically have been handling major investors throughout the years. Say the least, Senegal is definitely a very business friendly and competitive destination with a lot of features, natural assets, etc. It thanks with political stability, geographical location, access to the sub-regional market as well. You don't just see Senegal as a, well, small country, say 16 million inhabitants and roughly no more than 200,000 square kilometers. So you might see it as a micro market. But thanks to its geographical position, you can tap into landlocked countries like Mali, which is our first commercial partner to be, I believe, because we even refine oil for sometime Nigeria. It used to be the case. But Mali, most of their commodities come through the port of Dakar. And many international organizations, the corporations have made of Dakar their business hub or their basis for operation across the West African region. So my recommendation, just a suggestion for any private investor, be it a national one or a foreign investor, we highly recommend investors to make a priority on productive sectors where we have a lot of untapped opportunities that I spoke about earlier, but also some sectors which have a, say, a high or short-term yields in which our country also have a good level of competitiveness. It's notably agriculture and agribusiness, mostly horticulture production, where we export a lot to the European Union, the Mediterranean countries. Maybe it will be complicated this year because of COVID-19. Most of our, it's still the mangoes are still being exported. Some countries are still reluctant to open up but for even for trading and commercial partnerships. But for the other crops like green beans, sweet peas, and sweet corn, etc., and horseradish, to the even as far as Germany for bioproducts, and Denmark like banana, etc. So we definitely need much more investments into that sector. Rice being our staple food, we still have a gap to be bridged in terms of production locally of processed rice. I would also strongly advise to go into housing, including social housing. Even though APIX is not directly in charge of that sector because it doesn't fall under the criteria to be eligible to have some tax exemptions, because we don't see it as a very productive sector. You just building your own units. You don't really need a lot of people, and you don't create a lot of wealth and generate a lot of added value in terms of employment. But on the social housing aspect, Dakar is very congested. We do not have enough space to accommodate everyone. So that's why we are building all those housing units in Diamniadio, Lagos, which is still not far from Dakar, but is starting to evolve. So that sector, I would advise also to tap into and venture into that sector. Energies, well, we have some experts like Boubacar on board. So, but it's mostly on the distribution network, not really on the large-scale projects like exploration and gas production, but it's mostly for the distribution network for some, the national grid, the electricity grid doesn't go as far as some landlocked or swampy areas into the country. Light manufacturing and the assembly industries, we are building what we call special economic zones as well, to help accommodate, have these plug and work type areas, since Dakar is so congested, to have people just come and start their activities, be it industrial, IT, digital economy, IT enabled services, etc. So you name it. The key element here I would like to emphasize is just to have a very proven business model. Just not just come and engage in blindly into any activity, but to be, assisted by institutions like APIX, ADPME, FONGIP, FONSIS, and have also a precise idea of what you want to do, and not just be dispersed over several activities at once. And not also engage blindly, as I said earlier, without having substantial detail on the business sector you want to venture into. So those will be probably my recommendations for
That's
any
good.
investor.
That is very good, Mustafa. I think you mentioned a lot here, and they all have their importance, and I think for them to be in touch with an institutions like APIX, I think will make a good
Different.
deal. And I think I would, if you authorize Helen to share
Yeah,
your contact, and I know Helen will
definitely.
play a lead role also in helping continue those connections, because our goal is to make
Definitely.
sure that some of those companies on this webinar today to really follow up and see how they can enter into Senegal, and that follow up will also be detrimental on in the sense that what how Senegal is going to be able to come back after the pandemic. And and that's why I want to come back to Mr. Abdulaziz C and ask him how optimistic are you about the recovery of the Senegalese economy with regards to the pandemic? What have you guys been talking about within the American Chamber of Commerce on how you see the recovery after the pandemic in Senegal? Abdulaziz.
Thank you, Dimi. Yeah, I think during the recovery, the government has put some measures towards the companies that are really interesting, important, like for example, tax exemption during the last 3 months, you know, and really incentive to carry on investing and I think that there's many measures that they've been taken in place, and I think that will help a lot of companies, and that actually I had a lot of companies to survive during this period. Even though we have to say as well that some small companies or medium-sized companies have been really hit hard, and especially those who are involved in the tourism industry, services like restaurant, and other type of mid-sized company. They have been really hit hard, and even with the help of the government, it's still not enough for them to think positively about their investment in the future. But overall, what I'll say is that like I said earlier, the GDP growth will be 1.1% for the next year, and we have as well many things going for us. The number of cases for the COVID is the number of deaths are not thankfully are not really high compared to the Western world, and so that is positively, and things are being taken care of in terms of health problems. So that's a good thing. So it means that probably people will get back to full business around October and November. So that's a very interesting idea. And we have as well coming for us, the ZLECA. I think the ZLECA is the in French we say zone de libre-échange, is a free trade zone in Africa. A lot of countries around Africa have ratified this treaty, which will allow for certain products and services to be exchanged without trade barrier. So that's an opportunity as well for companies to go in and get in other markets, get their products over other markets without and being in competition with local companies. So that's a very good incentive and a very good opportunity for us. The other opportunity I would say is the informal sector. In Senegal, 95% of the GDP is relying on the informal sector. The sector where you have businesses and people who don't pay taxes and who are not really registered. And so there's two ways of seeing things. You can see it as an opportunity, because when you get 95% of the informal sector, so there's still room, there's still space to get part of this informal sector to the formal sector. And even the bank industry has pretty much really understand that, because we have, for a small country like Senegal, 15 million people, we have more than 20 banks. And which means, because they see the potential of the market, they know that people will get more and more registered and will get their bank account and will apply for loans, for credits, and etc. So as far as I'm concerned, we see it as an opportunity. We know that things cannot carry on like that over the coming years. People will want to get advantages for being registered. And so the informal sector will get more and more formal, and that's as well for the they will bring a bigger consumer market. So that's another good aspect. And the other one, I will say to the investors, to not see only Senegal as an investing country, but to see the potential with the YMU region, because we part of an economic region which is called YMU, where products can be shared, exchanged without barriers as well, and we share the same. We share the OADA is the same accounting system. We share the same law system as well, business law system. So it's really easy to operate between the countries member of the YMU. So for instance, let's say a company that wants to invest in Senegal, the potential of the market is not 15 million people only in Senegal, but all the countries in the YMU region, which is probably more around 100 million consumers market. So that's, I'll say, very interesting for a company that wants to really invest. And the other really interesting aspect is that we have stability, political stability. As an investor, as a businessman, when you want to invest, you want to secure your funds, you want to secure your income. So that's exactly what we have here, where we have we didn't have any coup, or all the democratic transition has been really going smoothly, and there is security, there is stability. So that's as well very good for the future. We also, I was speaking about the potential, the agriculture industry. It's have a really, really big potential. Why I'm saying that is because we have space. We have surfaces where the agriculture can take place. We have rivers all over the countries, the Senegal River and many, many rivers. So we have water and we have surfaces. So a lot of companies can invest in agriculture and exports abroad, or even for the local market. So that's also another really interesting aspect for investors to see and to look forward to. At last, I will say in the services sector, we have seen over the last 2 years coming big competitors in the distribution market, like big supermarket getting into Senegal, and even trying to get it to the other countries, the neighboring countries, because the middle class is growing. So the needs that we used to have 10 years ago are different now. You have a lot of young executives who have a family of 3-4 people, and their aspiration is no longer the same as before. So they want to have the same quality of products as those who are abroad. They want to have the big brands, drink. I don't know, maybe Dimy, you're more specialist than me in the big brands of juices, and they want to wear the best clothes, the best the best food, and so the distribution market is really going skyrocket now. We have, I don't know if you know Auchan, which is a big retail market, who have installed and opened more than 25 shops, all over the country. So a company like that wouldn't do that if there wasn't any consumers or any market, So for all those reasons, just to sum it up, for all those reasons, I would say that the future looks bright, even despite the COVID-19 that we just had. It's a setback, we know that it's a setback, but it's being dealt with. The government is, trying to help the companies to survive for during this period. We're dealing with it as well in the health sector, which all the cases are being treated, and the pandemic is being really focused into one places of Senegal. So we think that things will be behind us for October, November, hopefully.
Okay, Aziz, that's good. And and I like the fact that you talk about the distributions and the quality of life that the young executives they are demanding and they are pushing the companies to provide better services in the country as well. So that's really good. And we really need to also consider the on the social impact aspects, the role that uh, uh, an entrepreneur like Awatiam plays in the country, and what she's doing to work with small scale farmers and in helping also bringing the distributions in a way that that empower the small scale farmers. So I'd like you to tell me a little bit about your other hat as an entrepreneur, the founder of Lifan2, and what Lifan2 has been doing, and the role social entrepreneurship has in a country like Senegal.
Thank you, Dimi. So with Lifan to our vision is to use new technology to help the food distribution in Senegal. And we have one mission is to bring one meal to every child. And this is why every transaction that are done on the platform help to feed children in public schools. So since we started, we brought more than 3,000 free meals to public schools and Dara. Dara is like Quranic public schools, so we select them wisely. Um, the idea is really to help the farmers to have access to their clients. That's the first step. The second step is to digitalize the process of selling and buying. So as Mustafa was saying, there is a big part of the population of the businesses that are informal, and they also need to get access to those digital solutions. So the idea with Lifan2 is to bring a solution, a technical solution, but also to have a social impact, creating the idea of farmers feeding the children. And it's something that we can find in a lot of companies. And Ahmed was talking about that, how youth were really concerned about the social impact of their activities. And I can give you some example of startups like Aristark, for example. It's a company that is they are developing really great solutions, and there is one of the solution is an application named Gabi that helps the users to get information about the nearest automated banking machine, and so people can tell to the community if the machine is working on or not. We were talking about the banking system in Senegal, and it's something that people really need in a daily basis. There are other startups like Geomatica. They are working on geographic information system to see how they can develop solutions for agriculture services. They were also working as data specialists to help the government during the pandemic. There is this startup also, Volcano. He was one of the Mandela Washington Fellow, and since 2016 he helped to train more than 3,000 young developers so they can be independent and create jobs and create values. Innov Digital, which is a solution to allow schools and university to pay their lunch thanks to a smart card. So there's a lot of solutions based on IT that wants to create sustainable businesses for the country, create jobs, but also have a social impact in a lot of sectors. It can be agriculture, it can be just the banking system, it can be how to help startups to get more information about the market dynamics so they can build their business model as they need to. And with Lifan2 is something that we are trying to do also.
You know, I can see your passion for social impact initiatives because you cited so many examples of what's going on in Senegal in the social impact world, and that really exemplified the dynamism of the youth and of the young entrepreneurs in Senegal. And thank you for all that you are doing to make sure that the school children get a meal every day. And I think your project is very impactful, and investors, they like seeing things like that because it's all about what are you doing for the environment, how are you being socially responsible in your community, and you are doing a great jobs with your peers, with your friends, and I really applaud what you are doing in that sphere. I thank you so much for that. And we want to come back on the young entrepreneurs, and I know that that is something Ahmed Jallo is very passionate about as well. And Ahmed, how can investors and business people work with the youth to implement their creative ideas?
Yeah, thank you, Dimi. I think that the first thing a businessman or an investor would do when he's interested in Senegal is first to observe closely, monitor the situation. What are the key sectors, as the others have talked about? What are those sectors that drive the economy? Where does the future lie in terms of investment in Senegal? So that's one thing. So to look about or to look for the priorities for investment and later for returns. The second thing is to see properly who should be your stakeholders. You will need the government, agencies like APIX and others. So you need also to have reliable and talented people that you will be able to work with. The youth I was talking about are there, talented people in terms of IT, in terms of education, in terms of technical skills in agriculture, in industry, in mechanization, in building, in engineering. So once you have these two aspects, I think, then you can start looking at where you can really be implemented and how to try to operate. One thing I'm sure is that you will have the talent, the local resource, human, but also you have the technical resources that you will need. And the next thing is just the trust and the patience that you will be having and ready for a journey that both sides could grant or earn revenues.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. And I want to now transition back to the energy sector, okay, the oil and gas sector. So, Mr. Beng, you know, there are a few questions from the audience about that the sector, and one of the things that someone in the audience asked is, uh, do you think it's now that we are transitioning to renewable energy, do you think it's a good time for Senegal to start talking about fossil fuels, to start investing heavily in fossil fuels and things like that? What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Beng?
Okay, thank you. I think hopefully all biggest discovery we made in Senegal are in gas sector. And then since that the government is try to elaborate gas to power strategy, which is this 5 key point, which are the legal framework, the sources from the north part in Senegal with GTA, and say from not far away from Dakar is Sangomar project. And then we have to build a new gas infrastructure. We have to power generation, new power plant, and to change old heavy fueled power plant to gas power plant, which is from now a less environmental impact fossil fuel. And then at last, we have power infrastructure. Hopefully, Senegal is at the coastal front, and then we have to develop a big demand in cross-border from Mauritania, from Mali, Gambia, Guinea, two Guineas. And then just to precise, all last investment in power plant generation investment are win-win situation. Is B2B investment, which are renewable power plant with solar and also wind. Wind is the last power plant we made in Senegal. Just if I can sum it up, it's all last investment in power generation are to develop an energetic mix in Senegal in order to give to investor all various situation. They can invest in gas sector, but also in renewable power plant. I think it's a very nice opportunity for them.
That's good. And given that Senegal is a coastal country and there is the wind all the time, so we need. I mean, wind energy is very good. And then given that Senegal has the sun almost 365 days a year, so solar energy is also a nice option. So I think having this mixture of renewable and fossil fuels is good. I mean, you cannot eliminate fossil fuels totally, but I think having a mixture is good. So I think that's answered the questions on mitigating the environmental impact. There is a questions also from the audience that goes to Awa, and the question is the GIS data accessible to developers?
Actually, there is a lot of open data that you can find on the internet. There are solutions like the Resax. They are mapping available food products that are available in West Africa. Data that you can find with Esri, and it's really interesting. There is INSD in Senegal that is mapping a lot of information. But more and more you will have to pay to have access to those data. So the challenge, for example, with Live2 is to be able to go on the ground and to collect the data. So today, for example, we started collecting the data for the farmers in Dakar. We have more than 80 farmers. And for each of the farmers with who we are working, we allow you to have an account on the platform online. So you can sell your product, you can have a wide visibility of your transaction, of your financial transaction, and also of the potential that you have. For example, Mustafa was talking about the mango. Today, it's really interesting for a farmer to sell his mango in the US or in France. And those data we have to go on the ground and to collect them, and then you can confirm them with open data that you can have on OpenStreetMap or Resax, as I was telling you just a minute ago. So there is also open platform like Radiant Earth Foundation. They are using Earth imagery, satellite imagery, and you can compare what you have in Africa, what you can have in India and other parts of the world. So you have open data that are available, open data set. Now the challenge is to be sure that the data that you will have through the images are reliable, and you can compare it to information that you will have when you are on the ground and having ground truth data from farmers or schools or restaurants or retailers.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Awa. Thank you very much. And well, there's another question here, and I don't know who's gonna try that. Maybe Abdulaziz or Mustafa. Is where are you with health technology? How are medical mobile units, hospital on wheels, being used in Senegal? What is the future of treating the vulnerable population in Senegal? Maybe Abdulaziz, what do you think about that?
Yes, Dimi. Yeah, I think we still need to do some progress in the health IT. I think it's the part of the emerging Senegal plan. There's an all aspect regarding the medical health. But one of the good points that we have is really good human capital in terms of doctors, and the personnel who can take care of the people in need. And so we have as well a lot of students from all over Africa, Francophone Africa, who come to study who do medical studies here. So it means that this is a very good reputation of in medical training. So that's good. But what we need is more investment in the health infrastructure, and hopefully, I think we'll get there very very soon. But we still need to invest heavily. With the crisis that has been going on, a lot of promises have been made. So hopefully, we'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, and in fact, that was another questions on that too. Was instead of investing in the railroads that building that railroad communication between in Dakar between the downtown and other parts of the city, wouldn't be more important to think about schools and hospitals and things like that that are so needed in the country. So what do you think
Yeah,
of that?
yeah, I'll say both are important, because, for example, when you're a farmer, you harvest your products, but you cannot export it or bring it to the market because you don't have proper roads, or you don't have logistics. You still get stuck, and at the same time, if you have a son or a daughter who gets sick,
Mhm.
they have to be taken care of. So both are very important. But the investment of infrastructure for me is really, really important, because since the independence in 1950, we haven't been invested a lot on that. So we are really far behind, in terms of development, in terms of
Mhm.
logistics. We're really far behind. And don't forget, our population is not as big as in Nigeria,
Mhm.
so it's doable. It's something. 15 million people, we can operate things, but I think both are important. We don't have to neglect one for the other.
That's
Uh,
that's very good. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Investment in education. I am in education, so I know the importance of it, especially when you have a literacy rate very as low as the one we have. And when I speak to investors, the first thing they're asking me is, all right, we want to come to Senegal, all right, but who are going to work in our companies? Who are going to be working with us? That's our problem. We have the money, we have everything, but we need people on the ground, because to not bring people in from other countries. So it's a major concern, and we are really working on it. And I think in the coming years there will be some major progress in not only in education but especially in infrastructure.
Very good. Well, thank you, Aziz, for elaborating on this. And talking about education, there's a question here for Ahmet from the audience. Is young people are turned to entrepreneurship, which is a fact, but only they often need a good framework and support to lend them a hand. So concerning the framework, it is above all up to the government to make efforts. But are investors as well oriented toward this youth without intermediaries, or do they have to go through the governments or through other intermediaries to reach the youth? Are their creation procedures easy? Tell me about that. What do you think, Ahmed?
Oh, I don't think that they really need to go through the government first so as to get to the young Senegalese people. So all they need is to start the procedures. So you know someone who might be useful for what you're doing. First, try to discuss with him, and then just after, you have to see which way you have to go. So the government, as he said, so is here just to give guidance, okay, to make sure that you are abiding by the law, so you are in compliance with the legislation, the everything that is its work. But ultimately, so we don't have that culture, you know, of overseeing or wanting to have everything under our control. So it's totally free. If you have a partner, so you can discuss directly with him. But at the upper stage, probably you need to go through the government, register, and for those procedures, so you need eventually to go and see the government's help or assistance. But at the individual level, it's a direct collaboration, and then you have it go.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Ahmed, thank you for answering that. And so, Mustafa, is the government looking to IT providers from abroad for a solution? Are you with us, Mustafa? Is he still with us?
Actually, Mustafa might have just dropped off, but we do
Drop
have
off. Okay.
yeah, so we do have Mr. Lamin from
Mr.
Yeah,
Lamin.
APS who is
Okay.
also here. He's on here.
Okay, Mr. Lamin, welcome. I know you were the substitute for Mr. Mustafa. Uh, uh, Lamin, how are you? And I'm still seeing Mr. Mustafa drop in here, but
Yeah.
maybe he's gone. Okay. Uh,
his micro is mute.
okay.
Hello,
Oh,
hello,
there he
I'm
is.
in mute.
There we
Okay.
go.
Very good. Okay.
Hello, hello, I'm Lamin. I'm on the mute. Thanks.
Can't hear can't hear him.
I think he just broke off.
Yeah.
Clarifications.
Oh, we didn't hear you, Mr. Lamin. Can
You
you
don't
say
hear
it?
me?
Yes,
Okay,
now
now
we
we
hear
can.
you.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Lamin. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I say I will take the place of Mr. Job Mustafa,
Mhm.
and I'm here. And if you have a question on some clarification regarding of Apex aspect, I can answer, and maybe I can answer.
Okay. Well, okay. Now, let me probably send that questions on the IT providers to Awa. That's her other hat. Awa, what do you think? Is the government looking for the IT providers from abroad for solutions?
I think yes. There is a lot of solution in a lot of area in health and environment and all of that. But I think what is more important is like youth today are not waiting for the government to take initiatives, and there is a lot of private sectors that are helping use in their businesses in innovation. There is the innovation house. There is some private structures that are helping youth to develop their idea because they are not waiting.
Mhm.
And I think that well, it's not negative, but I think that sometimes the government is kind of um, con- in concurrence, in competition,
Mhm.
not competition, but
Competitions.
they know that there is a lot to do, and sometimes they think that maybe the startup by themselves they are not able to do it, so they are also helping and creating some solutions.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not that bad, but I think that to evolve in a better way we have to create a relationship between the public and the private sectors.
Mhm.
And I would love to say that it's easy today to create a startup in Senegal. The most difficult part is to be able to run it and to um, to create value, financial
Mhm.
value, and to
Mhm.
be able to be sustainable. So the more we'll have a partnership between public and private services, the better the better information we'll have to understand the market, to create partnership, to create the adapted solutions that can create jobs and also create a value for users and for the government also.
Okay,
Juste
that's
là,
good.
je
That's good, Awa.
prends.
Hello. We have a mic that's on. Maybe Helen, maybe you can mute that mic. Okay, very good. Thank you, Awa. That's good, and we know that there are lots of players from abroad in the IT sectors in Senegal, and that we know. So we have about 15 minutes left in this dialogue. I would like to come back to the panel and give each of you maybe 3 minutes, okay, to make a case for Senegal. Why do you think a foreign company will be successful in Senegal in the major sectors that we mentioned above: agriculture, service, industry, and manufacturing? So why do you think, and then why Senegal? So Abdulaziz, why Senegal? 3 minutes.
Abdul, you're on mute.
You are mute, Abdul. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
was mute. Why Senegal is firstly because our the yield and the return on investment is high compared to the other part of the world. I spoke about the GDP growth, and you have other indicators that show that for investors, their return on investment is higher than anywhere, is among the highest in the world. So the other good thing is the respect of the rule of law. Here we have created not so long ago a tribunal of commerce, because before we didn't have any tribunal of commerce. So there is a special institution that deals with litigation and problems between businesses. So that's already a good point. There is really a lot of tax exemptions as well for the new companies that are coming into our country. We have a good insight of prosperity with the oil and gas discovery. So there will be more prosperity, more jobs around. We have highly skilled as well workforce, especially in the service sector, where you need young entry level staff. We have enough, I think, workforce for the companies. And there is also, with the discovery of oil, I think Mr. Meng spoke about it, there will be the gas to power energy, which will lower the cost of energy. So for the companies that wants to invest heavily in the industry sector, the energy costs will really go down. And this is also another really interesting aspect. And finally, the political stability. I already spoke about it. And I would say as well, the security, it's really, really important when you invest. You want to invest in a country, and you need to make sure that your funds are protected. And so Senegal is giving all those guarantees.
Very good, Aziz. You make a very good case. So how about Mr. Lamin, on from the perspective of APIX, why investing in Senegal? You are on mute, Mr. Lamin.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
go
okay
ahead.
now?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, I think Ahmed as say we can add maybe Senegal. You can find the talent. We have the talent, and I think it's something which is very important. It is a country which you have a talent. We are very well located and connect with more than 2 billion consumers, because we have many of how we can call good relationship with many countries, and you can access on, if you regarding the package AGOA package or ACP package, and the access of some Asian countries and West African countries. It is a hub when we can serve more than 2 billion. It is something which is very interesting. And I think the such things we have now real opportunities. The government are doing their job. The government developing infrastructure, and now we have the opportunities to develop agriculture as a service in Senegal. And our health sector have a capacity, and we have a new project to develop more our health sector to have an international level. And I think regarding this aspect, we can say Senegal is the best place to be if you want to develop your company in Africa, and if you want to be connected with European market and American market.
Very good, Mr. Lamine. Thank you so much for elaborating on that. Awa, how about you? Why Senegal?
Why Senegal? Because it's a nice country. You have the sun, you have the beach. It's a really, really nice country. You have the
Oh, that
teranga
yes,
also.
that's for sure. Yeah.
And the second thing is the fact that people are really engaged. They really want to develop their country, their community, to bring services. And it's not about money, it's about possibility that are here. The soil is really rich. We have a lot of resources. There is more and more schools to train youth and to help them to analyze their idea and to transform it into sustainable and real businesses. And also I think that there is a the ecosystem is really large and the market is really large also. You have the opportunity to create businesses with other countries in West Africa, and Senegal has also great international relationships. So once you develop your business here, you have the opportunity to scale it really fast. And it's something that I think that is really interesting for investors to see that you can develop a business in a local area and be able to sell it then in Mali, Ivory Coast, the Gambia, and even in France or in the US.
That's great. I couldn't agree more, and specifically on the beautiful sandy beaches part. So I think that's just wonderful. Thank you, Awa. How about Mr. Boubacar Mbeng? Why Senegal?
Why Senegal? Because it's
Yes.
Senegal. Because I don't know who said that in a while back, Senegal is the place to be. Just focus on the energetic sector. So I think government have done a huge investment to democratize access of energy, and we suppose on 2030 have universal access of energy, and then with the gas to power, with changing the fuel to the gas, we can divide the electric price. We can divide electric price from, I think, 120 CFA kilowatt hour to 60 CFA kilowatt hour. I think it's a good thing, and for investors to have energetic cost, low energetic cost, I think it's a good thing for the industry. It's one of the key thing Senegal is trying to do to the next year is try to reduce electric cost, energetic cost, and then try to have an energetic mix which is using renewable source of energy. It's wind, solar, and also using the gas Senegal have discovered. And before COVID-19, I think we have good, we were on track, and we have a very fast track project we got. But I think Senegal is, the government is going to give to all investors attractivity to come in Senegal, I think. Thank you.
Very good, yeah, Mr. Bing. I think I couldn't agree more. Knowing that the costs of energy in Africa, it's extremely high, and it's that's one of the things that deter foreign investors. They know that they need to invest a lot in providing themselves their own energy. I mean, they needs to spend a lot of money in generators, buying generators. Whenever you are in those big capitals across Africa, you hear lots of noises from building to building because of everybody needs to have their own individual solutions with gen sets providing energy to their building. So if you can come up with that solution by 2030, universal energy power, universal energy power for everybody, I think that's a very good selling point for Senegal. And if you can have that and then you make the price really low, the same way it is in Middle Eastern countries like United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, I can guarantee you, you are going to get a lot of companies that will come and set their shops, specifically the companies in manufacturing that needs a lots of energy to
Yeah, that's it.
power their
That's it.
machines.
That's
Okay,
it.
so
Yeah,
that's wonderful, Bubakar, to hear. So
definitely. But just to add, I think I made a small mistake. It's 2025. It was 2025 before COVID-19 impact. I think
okay,
we have to reschedule and but it was 2025.
2025.
Before
Okay,
before
well,
before COVID-19 impact.
before the COVID-19 impact. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's not that far back. So you won't
Yeah.
push it too far, you won't push too far ahead. So I think it's probably going to be 2027, but that's still great. That is 2027. That's perfect. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Ahmed, why Senegal?
Oh, well, Dimi, I'm really unlucky because I'm the last to do my advocacy. I talked about the beaches and the sun. So we have also what we call our teranga. So the teranga is our hospitality, our sense of hospitality, of welcoming and honoring people and guests. And anyone who comes to Senegal will be honored and received in the best conditions. But I will add that we have to be in Senegal because we have an entire country ready to be made. So we started the process, but we have still a long way to go, especially in terms of infrastructure. So infrastructure is what really makes a country work and run. So we have roads to build, we have facilities to make, access roads in the deep rural areas where we have the agricultural production that we need to bring up to Dakar or to large cities. So we need to see these roads built, okay? Boubacar was talking about the energy facilities that we need also to set and put in place. We have also the educational system that needs to be, given impetus so that it can help also the industries and all that goes along with it to thrive. So Senegal is definitely the place to be because unlike France or the US where you have almost all the large facilities that have been completed, what you need to be that is to upgrade these facilities, but here you have to build them. And that's where we need to go. And whoever was in Dakar in 2010 and today comes to Dakar in 2020, you will see the change that has taken place. And this change will continue and to irrigate all the entire country so that everything will be accessible, affordable, so that everyone can work as he wants and be free and help the business and the wealth thrive.
Thank you, Ahmed. And for me, I would say, why not Senegal? You have F3 Global with Helen, who wants to Senegal and who is ready to facilitate connections with this incredible panel. You got Mr. Abdulaziz C. and Ahmed Jallo in education, making sure that the youth are getting the training that they need to be successful in this new global market. And you also get Mustafa Job and Lamin from APIX, and also Mr. Abdulaziz is from the American Chamber of Commerce, that are there to provide you the key advice to be successful in the overall investment environment. And you also get Awa there that will help you get connected with some young, capable IT gigs over there. And also, Awa will help you understand the social issues in Senegal. And so you can really be part of that community and be successful. And why not, while you are there, taking advantage of the beautiful Atlantic oceans, the beautiful beaches, the beautiful resorts available there, and the Teranga, as Ahmed said, the hospitality of the Senegalese people. They are always there to welcome you. I've made at least a dozen trips to Senegal since 2014, and I always feel welcome when I'm there in Senegal. I feel like home. Senegal is considered for me as home away from home. So thank you all for your time this today, and I'm gonna send it back to Helen, who will say the final word in 1 minute.
All right. So thank you, Dimy, for moderating, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So as a next step, we do know that there's some questions that have been asked and haven't actually gotten an answer to. So we'll follow up in email and make sure that someone answers your question. We'll also follow up with everyone's bio in case you have other questions. If you have any questions in regards of actually like a time frame for entry, a market that you're really interested in learning more about, or even opportunities to collaborate on existing projects, just let us know. I think everybody actually has my email. If there is any additional questions in general, whether it's about this or investing in series, then feel free to reach out to us. I would like to thank Ruth and Itana, who work for me and who always do an amazing job of promoting these events and showcasing what we can do. To our speakers, Ahmed, Aziz, Mustafa, Mr. Lamin, Awa, and Bubakar, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to be here with us this morning and share a little bit more about why your country is an amazing place to start. For those who've never been aware of all the different opportunities that exist, I know this is just a starting introduction as far as like why Senegal is a really great place to be. But hopefully it gives you a taste of what opportunities exist in this market. And we want to go beyond conversations and actually try to help you make transactions happen. So let us know. And thank you again, and have a great rest of your afternoon, day, night, or go to sleep and have a good night. Our next step though will be we'll actually educate you on what the next investing in series. We're going to explore another African market. So we're going to stay in the west side of Africa for this time being, but we're going to explore the whole continent as a whole, and then also dive into a few Middle East markets that we think you guys should be paying attention to. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Ciao,
Thanks,
ciao,
Dimy.
everyone.
Ciao.
Yeah,
And we'll send you a copy of this recording.
of course. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks,
Bye.
Awa. Bye.